UWill is proud to be the teletherapy educational partner of NASPA. More than 400 colleges around the globe trust UWill to support student mental health and wellness needs. With UWill, students can book an appointment in 5 minutes and receive crisis support in 30 seconds from licensed therapists 24/7, 365. Private, secure, confidential, and built to support students and you. UWill provides an immediate appointment with a licensed counselor based on student preferences, all modalities of teletherapy, a direct crisis connection, wellness events, real-time data, and support. Learn more about bringing the leading mental health and wellness solution to your campus by visiting uwill.com.
Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content, invites to special events, and more? Do you want to get all this while helping to sustain EdUp? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and subscribe today.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to Ed Up on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Salustio, and I'm back again. You'll never get rid of me. We're marching fast and furious towards 1,000 episodes of this podcast. And because of you, our amazing audience, we achieved a milestone, a huge goal that we'd been after this year, 2024, and that was to pass over 400,000 plays of this podcast. We're now at like 402,000 of the podcast. So you continue to honor us with your ears. You continue to honor us with your attention, and we thank you. And what I can guarantee, because I look at my schedule now and see everybody that's on it every day. I always tell the audience I record every day at 12 Central. I guarantee you we're going to be bringing you incredible guests. And I know that because we're booking into February now. So it's insane, the amount of guests that we're bringing you, the amount of insights that they're coming with. And there are institutions doing great work in our industry, and being able to bring the presidents and leaders onto this podcast gives us all hope into the future of what's going on in higher ed. And I've got an amazing gentleman with me today who's going to tell you all about his university. Let's get him to the microphone right now. Here he is. He's Dr. Ali Houshmand. He is the president at Rowan University. Ali, welcome to an EdUp. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for inviting me.
That was a very loud applause, I have to tell you. It was louder than I expected. The crowd was, I couldn't even contain it. That must be me. That must mean you're doing something right. Ali, thanks for being here. It's an honor to host you. Let's assume somebody in our audience doesn't know much about Rowan University. Set the stage for us. Where are you located? What do you do? And how do you do it?
Rowan University is located in southern New Jersey, about 20 miles from center of Philadelphia. It's in the county of Gloucester. It started 101 years ago. It opened in 1923 as a normal school with 250 female students who were here to be trained to become primary school teachers. And it has since evolved into a major comprehensive university that has over 23,000 students, 3 medical schools, engineering, business. Is fairly comprehensive and is growing, and is third fastest growing research university, public research university, has been for the past several years, according to Chronicle of Higher Education. It's a blue-collar institution. We try to be as supportive and helpful to as many students as possible. We would like to, especially if there are students that are low income, this is something that we pay a lot of attention to and try to really admit. In fact, any student who currently comes to Rowan with family income of $65,000 or less, they pay nothing. They pay no tuition or fees. Everything is covered. So this is really who we are. As I said, we try to train the future of America and send them out there to be a successful citizen. And every day that I wake up and I do that, I feel great, because you make life. You change people for the better, and you help the country. So it makes me feel very good to do what we do here.
Why does it make you feel very good? We're coming off election here in the United States, yes, where we exercise our right to vote through a democratic process for the future of the country, so we can all prosper, no matter what you believe, no matter how you believe it. education plays a crucial part in our ability to be informed. And you come from a very unique background. You come from Iran,
Yes.
and you grew up pretty in
Poor.
pretty tough times, poor.
Sure.
Can you talk about your background, where you come from, and why higher ed is so important to you?
Well, I was born in Tehran, Iran, in 1954. My mom and dad were illiterate, and they had a total of 10 children. Now I'm the fifth one, and we were very poor. We all of us lived in basically one room, well, probably 150 square foot, and
Yikes!
so it was a rough life, but one that I cherish enormously because I then valued and throughout my life I have valued the value of learning and being active and trusting in yourself and believing in yourself that no matter what your background, you could always succeed. So for me, education is really a greatest equalizer for everybody. So I try to really extend that to anybody that I can. That's why we try to particularly help kids with low income, because I know the impact could be huge. As a result of my education, the entire family has been lifted up. So it's very, very important that, the multiplier effect of education is huge, especially in today's economy. This is a knowledge economy. This is the most advanced country on earth. And being able to understand the technology and work within this system of high tech makes you that much more successful if you're educated. And if you're not, obviously you will fall behind. That doesn't mean anybody who's not educated is going to be poor. But on average, the more educated you are, the more access you have to knowledge in today's economy, in today's world, the better off you are, because you can make better decisions in life. And this is a very fast moving world and economy. As I said, knowledge really, really matters.
Amazing.
Love your story. Love it. And sometimes I feel that people who come into the United States from outside the United States have a much greater value, or put much greater value on a college degree or the college process than we Americans and domestics do. We're questioning this value. It's coming up all the time now. What's the value of higher ed? Should I get a degree? Shouldn't I get a degree? Should I do something else? And I've long thought, and I've said it on this podcast, that we in higher ed, and this is generalizing, we got lazy. And we got lazy because we failed to defend ourselves appropriately when the value of a college degree came into question. We let people devalue it. And instead of a university or presidents or whoever else come out and go, that's not true, or maybe having some public policy group put information around to show value in as robust a way as those who are detracting from the value. We waited too long, and then we have to fight out of this hole, like trying to restate the value, and we know it's there. We know that you live longer, you prosper, you're healthier, but somehow it's still in question. Why do you think that the college degree isn't as valued right now in the U.S. as it has been in the past?
I think now part of it is obviously there are a lot of changes that are happening. Major corporations are starting these micro credentials that are very valued, and within a short period of time, you could learn that credential and potentially get a job. That's one thing. The other thing is that the cost of education has steadily gone up way above the rate of inflation, and it's gotten to the point where people do the calculation and they say, well, if I spend 4 or 5 or 6 years of my life and I spend $200,000, what would the impact of that be in terms of job? That's number two. And number three, I really think that the higher education needs to connect with the world outside, that is the economy, the industries, much more so that there would be a right sizing of education. And by that I mean, we need to educate the people that our country needs. In other words, if, for example, my university in my region, we need 500 engineers per year, and we are only training 200, clearly we are not doing enough for the economy. And if on the other hand, we are producing, let's say, 400 historians where our economy needs 100, again, we are not doing service to those people. And I think that lack of right sizing, and the reason for that is because higher education has always been a kind of island by itself and try to have this fictitious wall around it. and think that they know the solution to the real world. And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And I really believe that the more we bring the industry, even at the curricular level, and we need to create some sort of farm system so that we can have relationship with the industries. They can come and tell us, look, we need these kind of educated people. We need that kind of knowledge. And also even some of those leaders from industry can come and as adjuncts come to the university and teach our students, because they teach real world experience. And those are critically important for our education. So these are, I think, are the reason that there is this impression out there by some, on the part of some people, that higher education is not valued. I really believe the education of today does not necessarily have to be bachelor's, master's, PhDs. It can be those, but it can be any kind of education. I think that we are in a world where every minute of our life, every day of my life, we need to learn something new, because the world is moving so fast, the technology is advancing so fast, that if we stay stagnant, clearly we're going to fall behind. Therefore, the notion of education as a value proposition for any individual to be functional in this world is absolutely essential. The form of education, the degrees or the credentials that they get, that depends on the nature of individuals and where they want to go. But to say that education is not paying back, in my opinion, is a huge mistake, because this, as I said, this is purely a knowledge economy. The more knowledge you have, the more powerful you are. It's that simple.
Epic.
I love that, and I love how you framed it, and that foresight that you have is an important characteristic. You know, when you come in 2011 and you look to where you are now, you've doubled enrollment. That's not typical of universities across the country. In fact, the conversation is usually in reverse. We're down 15%, we're down 20%, where we need to know how to figure this out. What I know about higher ed, and I've been doing this a while, you can't do that without creating fairly significant change on your university. A university or a structure that is designed to prevent you from creating change. It's designed. Its entire design is to slow the pace of change, to prevent change, to have the status quo take over. What's the secret? What has been your secret to creating change while bringing people along with you? Because that's a key component, right? And some people just can't do it. What's been your secret?
Well, first of all, as you know, that in higher education, you ask a professor, how many of you does it take to change a light bulb? And they say, oh my God, change? So we
it
don't
takes
like
a committee. The answer is it takes a committee to change the light bulb.
Yes, let's put a committee to figure that out, yes. But I really, what you just asked really is fundamental to how I run this university, how others can. In that, universities are a very complex system with many constituents, and all of them are important, whether it's faculty, whether it's parents, whether it's the politicians, whether they're alumni, the board of trustees, you name it. Every one of them have a different type of things from you. But and ultimately, in order for you to be able to change things, you need to really respect and understand and respect the culture of the institution, and try to kind of institute change within that culture. I came from Drexel University, a private, fast-moving institution, and I came to this place which was very slow-paced, small university. Really, very few people knew about it. And when I came in here, I realized, oh my God, change is going to be very, very tough.
Surprise!
It took me a year or so to respect them, to understand them. And then I started working with them. And the trust that I built came from being transparent and open. The very first thing that I did when I became president, I actually went to the budget committee of the University Senate, and I gave them the past 3 years of all the budget activities of the university. And I informed them that I'm going to put the university's budget online for anybody to see that anytime. That was very important to everybody, because I wanted them to see there is no hanky-panky going on here. There's not a funny business. Everything is transparent. You can see it just as I can see it. You can have the same information as the board of trustees can have. And also everything that we did it in collaboration. Every month I have meeting with the Senate leadership. We have 23 unions in here. I meet with them and I talk with them and I respect them. And I try to emphasize to them that we are all in it together. This is our university. We need to shape it in the way that we want it to be shaped, so that our grandchildren can come in here and get great education. And I think that openness, transparency, and also not being heavy-handed and trying to respect the freedom that the academic have has been enormously helpful. And I think that 2 or 3 years effort at the beginning that I really changed that culture and earned their trust was huge. We never hide anything from anybody in here. We really don't. And we really never exclude people. If people have solutions that are better than ours, I respect them and I actually adopt that solution. So it's important that we really be open, we be transparent, we listen to them. That doesn't mean that you have to go along with them everything that they say. That's not what it means. But you have to kind of be open to people. Intelligent and decent people always want good thing to happen. Nobody comes in the morning and say, I want to go and screw up today. Nobody does that.
Nobody comes in going, I refuse to change today. It just becomes...
You need to kind of create an environment where change is welcome, where it's pleasant. These days, anything that we do is welcome because we have proven to them that we really have no motive other than advancing everybody's life, making university better. This university in 2016 was master's classified. In 8 years, this year we got the scores for an R1 classification. And 2 years
Inconceivable!
It's amazing.
It's such a short period of time, and it's because we've managed to change the culture and then institute all the changes that we have. Remember, when I started, we have 5 colleges. We now have 15 colleges and schools. We had no medical school when I started. We have 3 of them now. And all of that has happened, as I said, as a result of being open, transparent, work with the faculty, bring them to the tent rather than keeping them to stay outside the tent, and also work with the local politicians, with the state, with the federal. All of these things that matter. This is a complex job, but it's, at the same time, it can be easy if you really are open and don't try to hide anything with yourself.
Well, and I look at what you said. So you have multiple medical schools. I think you're one of the only colleges in the area to have multiple medical schools, aren't you?
Yes, we're one of 2 in the nation, actually, in the nation. Michigan State has allopathic, osteopathic, and veterinary schools, so do we.
It's amazing. And so, and now you're offering MDs and DOs, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And you think about that, going from bachelor's and master's, going to doctoral, and then going to medical doctor degrees, DO degrees, totally different structure. You need different kinds of faculty. You have different regulations and testing. Absolutely. You add in faculty complexities that you talked about. You add in unions and those types of, you add in your constituents in the community. You add in politicians. And then students, of course, the most important stakeholder of all.
Of course.
How do you pick or judge what needs to change first? Or do you look at something and go, okay, this is something that the university has to do, but I've got to get through all of this stuff to do it. This one over here also has to change, but I have to do half as much to get this one done. How do you decide where to put your time with so many interested parties to suck your time away from you? There's a time so finite. How do you decide where to put your priorities? More than 400 colleges around the globe trust UWill to support the mental health and wellness of their students, faculty, and staff. As the leading global mental health and wellness solution, UWill provides an immediate appointment with a licensed counselor based on student preferences, all modalities of teletherapy, a direct crisis connection, wellness events, real-time data, and support. UWill is proud to be the teletherapy educational partner of NASPA. Learn how UWill can support your students by visiting UWill.
Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content, invites to special events, and more? Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Do you want to get all this while helping to sustain EdUp? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and become a subscriber today.
Well, I define my job as the following. I am here to provide resources and the environment, infrastructure, so that education happens. Universities have only 2 missions: creating knowledge and imparting knowledge. Everything else is in support of these 2. And so when first of all, I surround myself with really people that I consider even smarter than I myself. It's very, very important. You always get the highest level of people amongst your team. Number two, I empower them. I really give them the ability to think and to create by themselves. But at the same time, I hold them accountable in case things go wrong. But it's not as if that I come in every morning and I decide, here is the list of things that I want to do today, and I order people go do this and that. There is a lot of collaborative discussions, whether it's fundraising, whether it's creating a new degree program, whether it needs, for example, let's say that the School of Veterinary Medicine. The School of Veterinary Medicine, creation of that has taken me about 8 years. I've been working on this thing for 8 years, going to the politicians, going to the donors, thinking about the faculty, where do we get the money for the building, where do we get appropriation for running the school, what should be the tuition and fees, where are we going to build it, and all of those things, that are very complex. Right now, what we are actually building the vet school is a $200 million building, and it's very, very complex. Therefore, I needed to, as I said, surround myself with capable individuals, make sure that all the constituencies that are important in here are informed, and to the extent that they can help us, they do. And also, I really do is the local state politicians, because it's a state institution. At the end of the day, we are still receiving 22% of our operating budget from the state. And therefore, working with all of those people and coming to a solution, it really is the key, rather than trying to order people, let's do this project or that project. Having said that, yes, I am crazy. Sometimes I sit down and think 20 different things in my head. And
tell them like it is.
And yes, and so I am very active in creating ideas and sharing ideas with others. I never think that job is done. I could have said I've been here for 12 years. I've done all of these things. So why don't I just relax, go play golf or thing? No, that's not what it is. I just can't live like that. To begin with, there is a big motivation for me. And that is, I'm a naturalized citizen of this country. And I love this country dearly. And I want to make sure that everything that I do every day is, in a way, sending a message to this country saying, thank you for giving me the ability to be who I am, the ability to be creative, the ability to have such a job. Because when I think about it, if I were in my old country, there would have never been a possibility of me being a president of a college.
Yeah.
So those things are very, very important motivations for me. But at the same time, it's not as if that I know all the solutions. I don't. And surrounding yourself, and every leader should do that, surround yourself with good people, with tough people, people who are better than you, people who question your judgment, people who are willing to come and pound the table and say, you are wrong in an articulate way, but you're wrong, and this is the better way. And for you to have the ability to listen and to accept the truth is very important, because therefore you got to set aside your egos and everything else at home and come in here and recognizing that you're not here for yourself. You're here for a very, very large community of people. People trust their most precious asset with you and say, here is my son or daughter, take care of them and send them back to me when they're educated and are ready to go and be a functional citizen. These are very, very tough jobs, and you really need to do it collectively rather than individually. And those presidents who really try to kind of do everything by themselves, they're going to have a hard time.
Oh, no doubt about it. And you said it, but I'd like you to go a little bit deeper. Your motivation, you're president for 11, 12 years. That's a long time. The national average is like 4.7 right now. Yeah, 5 years. Yes. It's coming down. It was 8 years, or 6 comes down to 6, goes down to 5. And I've talked to many, many presidents, over 300 of them. And typically one of the things that will come out is it takes about 3 years, if you're a brand new president, to get to a point where you're getting comfortable in the role you've gotten through, and you could really start to innovate. But if you look from 3 years to 5 years, that's only 2 years. And so you're not going to be able to get a lot done. You have to try to stay the course. But 12 years is a long time.
Yes.
How do you stay motivated to continually improve? Because arguably, somebody could come in and say, Dr. Houshmand, you've done it all here. You doubled the enrollment. You brought in medical schools. You've brought in, $3 billion in construction projects. You've done all these amazing things. You know what? Congratulations. You did it. But you have to come in the next day and you have to go, I got to do it again. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? How do you stay motivated? What advice would you give to other college presidents, that are maybe having that moment where you go, how do I continue in this job?
I never lose momentum. Momentum is extremely important. It gives you the motivation. It gives you the excitement about work. It tells you that the job is not done. That's number one. Number two, I personally suffer from what we call imposter syndrome. Therefore, I'm never good enough. I've never been good enough. Every day I have to do something different. That's the motivation number two. And for me, the motivation number three is, again, that being a naturalized citizen and wanting to prove to everybody that I'm a good citizen. Because I really think immigration is nothing but a transaction between a country and an individual. The country says, I give you a home, I give you the security and safety, and in return, I want you to be a good, productive citizen and give more to the country than you take. And these are the motivations that get me every morning that I come in here and want to do something. And the fourth thing, I'm a very competitive person. Everything that I do has to be good, and therefore that's another motivation. Otherwise, why to me this is not a salary. Really, it's not. If it were, I would not be here. I would be some other places. It's more than that. It's that notion of being a person that is useful as a member of society. Being a good citizen is really, really the great motivation for me, and it keeps me going.
I like that.
I do. And, as you look at the changes that you've made many. And one of the, I say you've made many changes, and then many changes are happening to you. And one of the changes happening to you and to us in higher ed right now is artificial intelligence and the disruption, I think positive disruption that it's bringing to some not so positive, or the perception of it, particularly in the classroom. And you look at what teaching and learning is going to look like in the future. Over the last 18 months or so, there's been struggle around what's AI driven. Are students cheating? Are they not cheating? Are we changing the way we teach? Are we changing up the syllabi to reflect using AI? Some faculty, yes. Some faculty, no. Some institutions, yes. Some institutions, no. There's really the Wild West right now. Can you talk about what you're seeing out there from your seat and how you believe artificial intelligence and technology in general is going to change the way we learn in the future? Because it's going to. It's just a question of how.
Absolutely. That really is $1 billion question. And I really think that artificial
Will you give me the answer, just me the answer, so I can go invest in whatever the answer is? Don't tell everybody.
Yes. But really, this technology is going to change everything that we do. I think the greatest challenge that higher education has right now as a result of artificial intelligence and all the realities, virtual, augmented reality, everything, is that how do we transition as faculty members from sage on the stage into guide on the side? And that is the hardest transition.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you what it is. Right now, in our university, the state of New Jersey, the governor's office negotiate contract with the unions regarding what is a full-time employment as a professor. And a full-time employment as a professor is equivalent to 12 contact hours per week for full-time for faculty member to be a full-time faculty. And the problem with that one is that you are not going to be able these days to get a 17 and 18-year-old to sit down in a classroom for 1.5 hours and for you to go on the blackboard and write things for them to copy. The machine, the cell phone is in their hand, and they are possibly communicating with others, texting and everything else. Therefore, the whole notion of, given that everybody has access to the same level of knowledge, that is you as professor and me as a student, we have exact same knowledge, then the question is, what am I trying to teach that kid? Am I trying to teach her how to solve a differential equation? Or even if I tell for example, a student, go and write for me a paper about the history of the Second World War. And the kid goes into ChatGPT and gets a beautiful write-up. And I would say as a professor, my job is to tell that students, that's great you did that. Why don't you now come in front of the class and teach me what you learned?
Right.
In other words, that role is changing. In other words, the professor is now no longer teaching the kid, guiding the kid, trying to teach them how to make good decisions. I think the role of the professor with regard to artificial intelligence is, given that both sides have access to the same knowledge, yet professor is more mature and more wise, is going to tell them, okay, how do you package this enormous amount of knowledge to make a good decision about this issue or that issue or some other issue? I think that's going to be the role. And another thing that, in my opinion, is going to change is the whole notion of credentials. What does credential mean? This whole notion of bachelor's and master's and doctorate and everything else, I really think are going to be questioned. Who said that, for example, every baccalaureate degree requires exactly 4 years, 8 semesters, 120 credit hours?
That's a good darn question.
It's as if to say that, a truck driver and an F-35 pilot need exactly 4 years of training to become expert. That's ridiculous. And all of those things, in my opinion, needs to be questioned, because what we have as a system of higher education is still the system that was created during an agrarian economy, where we said
on an agrarian and a calendar that was agrarian too.
Exactly, and exactly. Fall and spring, and in the summer everybody goes to the farm, but nobody does, as you know. And so in my opinion, that the changes that are going to take place with regard to intelligence artificial intelligence is going to be huge. It's going to be even huge in terms of buildings. As we speak, we are trying to build a new building for our College of Humanities and Social Sciences. And we want to put in there all sorts of technology so that we can do digital humanities. And we want to make sure, how do we build this new building? Because if we continue building classrooms of 1,500 square foot space and 30 seats sitting there with a blackboard or whiteboard, we are crazy.
Yeah.
Those days are over. The whole notion of how do you impart knowledge is not going to be in the traditional way. And we need to really figure those things out. Maybe a 2-minute clip of YouTube is far more valuable than 1 hour of sitting in a classroom. So we need to really look at the way that education takes place. I think at the end of the day, though, the parents should be able to send their young ones after the age of 17 and 18 to a place that is semi-safe, safer than outside, so to speak, so that they can learn how to make decisions by themselves, so that they can grow up. I think as such, therefore, the universities will always exist. The nature of the university is going to change vastly. The way we credential, the way we teach, the way we build buildings, the way we employ people, all of these things are going to change. In my opinion, actually, over the next 10 years, almost the entire frontline employees in this country are going to be replaced by technology. Then the question is, what are we going to do with those people who are going to be no longer needed? So the whole next level of education that is needed, that prepare people for the technological world, is absolutely essential. So we have a lot of those things that to do. So I would say in 10 years from now, really, the world of higher education is going to be vastly different. The challenge that I always put in front of the people is this. How do you envision a university where your grandchild is going to go in there and educate? Can you picture that for me? Because that picture right now is absolutely essential. If you go to any university these days, you see more or less the same thing. Classrooms, conference rooms, offices, and then entertainment, food, and everything. All those things are going to really be questioned. And as a result, we are really trying right now, given that we are building a lot of buildings, right now we are trying to figure out, how do these buildings going to look like? We are working with Cisco's technology right now, trying to help us to design the new buildings in terms of technology. In my opinion, the buildings of the future is going to be technology first, and then brick and mortar to support it. Whereas in the past, it was brick and mortar first, and then technology through holes that you puncture through the wall. That is going to completely change the way that we build everything. And so
it's such a good point. I talked to a president, gosh, if I couldn't remember, who was designing a new building where the electrical outlets are waist high, because that's what your Gen Z students look for, as a plug so they can use their phone. And we grew up, the plug's always on the floor. And the kids aren't looking on the floor. They're looking for the closest USB port. And I mean, just think about those changes. And I talk about this stuff too. When we watch shows on TV, we skip the introductions. We want our Amazon packages quickly. So you start to think about the future of learning and it being as fast and as on demand as the things that we use in our personal lives. And how we make that transition I don't know how we do it because it's AI has kind of put us all at ground zero. Nobody knows more than anybody else. And so there's situations where your students know way more than your faculty about artificial intelligence, and the faculty are catching up. And that puts people in uncertainty. It makes them feel behind. And so I think we have a responsibility in higher ed institutions to make sure our faculty get great professional development.
Oh, that's what we do. In fact, I started this thing 4 years ago. I set aside $3 million and I said, look, faculty, go and use this money, go to various places, go to conferences, start being creative and come up with a new way of imparting knowledge to students. Because the notion of keeping a kid for 1.5 hours in a classroom is done. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get their full attention. And this is absolutely essential. As I said, that transition of sage on the stage into guide on the side is the greatest challenge that higher education has. Precisely, especially in the unionized environment, because change for these guys is going to be extremely difficult. And if we can get that to happen, I think we have done a great service to the higher education. If we don't, that's where the failure is. If we try to continue doing what we have been doing for the past 200 years, that's going to be a disaster.
That's a definition of insanity. Do the same thing you've been doing over and over again.
Yep.
Well, I want to bring you back for a quick episode for our subscribers. I've got a couple of questions to ask you, but before I let you go, I want to give you an open mic. Here is your open mic, Dr. Houshmand. What do you want to say about Rowan University that you think we should know?
Rowan University is a very pretty campus. It's a very safe campus. We pay tremendous attention to the safety and security of our everybody, the students, the faculty, the staff. We are building a lot of fun buildings, places that are different, that are new, where we are really paying attention to students rather than to professors and the staff, so that they feel that when they come in here, they have a home away from home. And that really is critical. Because if a kid is not comfortable in here, if they don't feel safe in here, if they don't feel belong in here, they can never learn. And it's waste of their lives being here. Therefore, we need to create an environment where a kid wakes up in the morning, they know that there is no danger out there is no fear out there, the food is there. We do a lot of stuff like that. One of the things that I do, I grow a lot of vegetables over the summer. Actually, I've got a farm that is the university's farm is about, this year we had 8 acres of it. We grow massive amount of fruit and vegetable. And I have students who come and work with me. We box these things and we give them to people for free. This year, we have given way more than 50,000 pounds of fruits and vegetables to people. We grow peppers and we have a company and we make hot sauce and we sell the hot sauce, and all the proceeds, 100% goes to needy students. So I engage the students. So I create that home away from home. It's fun education. So we need to do all of those things, in my opinion, so that the people can trust their children and say, here is my most precious asset. Take care of that person. And send them back to us when they are grown up, ready to function as a good citizen. And these are the things that really gives me the motivation to work every day. So open mic, send your kids in here. They get great education. It's affordable. We take care of them. And we'll send them back to you as very successful, capable individuals. That's really what we do every day, and I'm delighted to do more of it.
Well, before I outro you and bring you back, I'm going to read 3 words to you, and I want you to tell me what they mean to you, because I love these words.
Okay.
Nasty, nastylicious, and nasty vicious. Tell me what those words mean.
Those words started from when I started the hot sauce thing. I love gardening. My hobbies are gardening and running. I've done a lot of marathons, a lot of gardening. And I grew a lot of pepper. About 10 years ago, I had lots of pepper. I cooked them and I made sauce and I gave some to people, to my colleagues. And one of them got a jar of this thing and tasted it and he said, that's nasty. So then when that nasty thing came out, and then when I progressed further and I started growing more, and eventually one of my staff asked me to make more jars for auction, came the naming, because we were now at that time growing different levels of pepper, really, really hot one, the extremely hot, like Carolina Reaper, like Ghost and all of those stuff. So what happened was, in order for me to distinguish the level of heat in here, I came up with these names. So I said Nastylicious is a little bit nasty, but it's still delicious. So you can actually rub it on a piece of toast and enjoy it. Nasty it has a kick to it. And if you really want to hurt yourself, Big time, you go for nasty, vicious. So I came up with these words, and they are just right in a way that they describe this thing. And let me give you a story. Malcolm Gladwell one day interviewed me about university ranking, how the university ranking takes place through U.S. News and World Report.
Yeah.
Like what happens is they send us this survey of 3,000 or 4,000 universities that we need to, as presidents, rank based on the score of 1 to 5, how good they are. And none of us really know all of the universities. Yeah. So what I did was I would send all of the college presidents a jar of my hot sauce with my ugly picture on it, hoping that they remember that thing. When it comes to the ranking, maybe they will rank better. I was using that as a way to say how absurd, in my opinion, the whole ranking thing is.
You hacked them. I love it.
Yeah. So that's really where those three words came about: nasty-licious, nasty, and nasty-vicious.
Well, of course, if you want to know more about Rowan University, you can go to rowan.edu. But if you want to know more about nasty, nasty-licious, and nasty-vicious, you go to rowan.edu/hot sauce, and you can order some of Dr. Houshmand's amazing, nasty in a good way, hot sauce. That's one unique thing about you, Dr. Houshmand, that we want to highlight, because I think it's super cool that you grow your own peppers and hot sauce. But of course, that's not as important as the great work you're doing at Rowan University, but it is super cool. Ladies and gentlemen, he's my guest today. He's your guest, and he's going to come back in just a second. He's Dr. Ali Houshmand. He is the president at Rowan University. Dr. Houshmand, we hope you had a good time talking about Rowan today on the podcast.
I had a great time today. I thank you very much, Joe, for the interview. It's been fun. Anytime that I talk about my work in here, because it's my passion, it's so easy for me to talk, and I can talk for hours about it.
Oh, well, and there's one thing I can do, and that's talk for hours, and we make a dangerous combination. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just upped YouWill, the leading mental health and wellness solution, proudly supporting 3 million students at more than 400 colleges worldwide with immediate access to licensed therapists 24/7, 365. For more information, visit youwill.com.
Do you want to get invites to special events? Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes episodes, and original content? Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and become a subscriber today.